Hello everyone, welcome back. Getting ready for the next session. Please join me in welcoming Arpit Shrivastava, who's going to talk about the Power Apps Portal Build Tools, Portal ALM. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, David, and thanks everyone who is organizing this event. And I hope you have all had a great learning throughout the day. Let's continue this learning for more 45 minutes and discuss about the Power Apps Portal ALM. All right, let me share my screen and we'll begin our session. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll share my screen. All right. Can someone please confirm that whether they can see my screen?
We can indeed, Arpit. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone, from wherever time zone you are joining this event. I hope you all had a great learning throughout the day. And let's continue this journey, this DevOps journey, and discuss about something about the portal deployment. All right. As you know that portal is one of the main ingredient of the Power Platform. And today, if you see that most of the projects. And most of the organization are adopting the portal. So it's very crucial, or maybe you will say like, it's very important to understand how we can, follow the best practices and what could be the process to, deploy the portals. All right. So just bear with me for next 45 to 50 minutes. I'm going to discuss about the fundamental concepts of the portal ALM, and then gonna discuss and then gonna show you the extension that I have built to automate the portal deployment. All right. So so let's continue our Power Apps portal application lifecycle management session. And before begin that, I would like to give a quick introduction about me. My name is Arpit Srivastava, and I'm a Microsoft MVP, and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer as well. I'm working in Capgemini as a Power Platform architect. I'm also leading the Indian ALM 365 user group as well. I've been recently awarded as a Power Community Ambassador. If you want to get in touch with me through my social media channels, you can get in touch with me through my blogs and my website called arpitpowerguy.com. And on my YouTube channel, I frequently post a lot of interesting stuff related to the portals, Power Platform. So in this session also, I'm going to discuss about the extension or the tool that I have built to automate the portal deployment. So I have given a couple of sessions before as well. So if you want to have a look on my on my YouTube channel that how that tool works, although I'm also going to discuss it today as well. But if you want to see my last sessions or the recordings, you can just have a look on my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel, you can find it with the name Arpit Dynamics. Also, you can follow me on my website. So I often put a lot of cool stuff related to the Power Platform and Dynamic 365. So let's jump into the agenda. What is we are going to discuss it today. So today we're going to discuss about the Power Apps portal ALM. Okay. So as you know about the application lifecycle management is one of the crucial play a very crucial part in order to manage your application or follow the discipline while developing or deploying the components in the Power Platform on the Dynamics 365. So I'm going to specifically discuss about the portals. Okay. So I'm going to discuss about the portals ALM, then the Power Apps portal CLI. That is the recently announcement made by the Microsoft in terms of the deployment specifically in the portal. And then going to discuss about the development strategy, that what are the different ways to develop or to configure the portals. Then the deployment, and I have the live demo for you where I'm going to show you the live demonstration of my extension. All right, so Power Apps portal deploy ALM. So what is ALM? So as you already know, like ALM is basically the application lifecycle management. So same like the human being, any application in this world actually has also an application lifecycle management. So all the application in this world also have the life cycle as well. Okay, so if you can see here, any application start with the planning that we also call as the requirement management phase. So regardless of any software, regardless of any platform, or regardless of any language, regardless of any application in this world, every application follow the same process. Every application has the same life cycle, right? So you just start with the planning, means the requirement management, requirement gathering. Then we have the then we have to, after developing the architecture, designing the architecture, we have to develop that application. Then we have the testing. We have to test the software, test the application. Then we have to deploy it to the target instance. Once we deploy that application to the target instance, we get the input from the client, from the users, and based on that there is an operational process, the maintenance process we have the change management process as well, and we have the monitoring process as a continuous process, right? So this is the complete application lifecycle management. As you can imagine, like there are a lot of process, a lot of you know a lot of things are involved in this whole application lifecycle management, and it's necessary that some sort of tools or some sort of guidelines we have to follow, right? Some sort of automation we have to follow to manage the application lifecycle. So ALM is basically the concept of 3P, the people, product, and the process. All right, so you can imagine, like if I have to follow all these processes, if you have to create an application, I have to manage all these things, right? So there are a lot of pupils are involved in that. Obviously, we have to manage the resources as well. We have to need the resources for the requirement management, for the development, for the testing, for the deployment, and obviously for other stuff as well. And we also need the products, the softwares, the tools that can automate the whole process, right? So everything, if you can imagine to do it in the manual way, then it's going to difficult process, right? So we obviously need some sort of tools that can automate the process or make the process smooth. All right. Then we have the processes. So process I've already discussed about that lots of automated processes involved. So this complete people, product, and process make the ALM process. Okay, so this is basically the application lifecycle management. Now, if I talk about why the ALM is necessary, basically, so ALM is basically necessary to improve your team collaboration. Okay, so once if you are following the ALM process, as I told you, the people or the resources are the integral part of the ALM process. So it is very important that if you are using the ALM process, you are following guidelines. It actually improves the team collaboration because you have to come together all the resources who are working, who are developing the software, who are testing the software, who are getting the requirements, who are designing the software architecture. So these kind of things it actually brings together. Improve the development process with the incorporation of the frequent and thorough testing. It actually helps us. And then other thing is they help you ensure top quality products are being deployed. So it actually helps or ensure that you are developing or deploying the software with the better quality. All right, guide you to follow the several discipline to manage the application, and lets you quickly turn your idea into reality. That is the one of the most important thing about the ALM, because if you have the the instant process to, because if you think about the power platform, we talk a lot about the low code and no code, but unless or until we are not able to showcase the the software, the application to the end user, there is no sense to create the low code no code application, right? So the time we are reducing to develop the application, we should also reduce the time to deploy that application as well, so that the end user can get to see what we are developing. They can give the quickly feedback to us. So this is the beauty of the ALM, right? We can simply turn the idea into reality. It also improves the developer satisfaction and the visibility into workflow. All right. So these are the basic, the advantage of using, the ALM. If you obviously, if you are follow the best practices, the specific guidelines, so obviously you can deliver a bug-free system as well. Now, if I talk about in the portal's terminology, obviously the portal also needs the planning. Okay, so if you are working in a portal project or if you're adopting the portal for a particular client, obviously the planning phase one of the most important thing. Okay, so it is a fundamental step, because all the other rest of the steps to develop, to monitor, to deploy, to test, everything is depend on that. Okay, so portals planning is very important. Requirement management, environment setup. So in the requirement management phase, you have to clearly understand that whether you need the portal or not, because sometimes because nowadays we have a lot of components in the Power Apps in the Power Platform. We have the Canvas app, we have the model-driven app, Power Automate. So a lot of the components are there. So we have to first understand whether the portal is really required or not. Okay, then we have to understand like how should be the environment structure should look like. So how many environments should be there, like dev, SIT, UAT, pre-prod or prod. So it depends on the organization to organization that how many environment they want to set up. Security and user access is also the key part of that, that how many users, what type of user is going to use the portal. Okay, so that is very important thing. Based on that, you can configure the web roles, entity permissions, and you can plan your security structure of the portal. All right, because portal can be accessed by the anonymous user and the authenticated user. So it's a very important thing that you should understand that security, that how many users is going to be the authenticated one and what type of user could be the anonymous one. So that is also a very important thing. And the licensing, it's also the crucial part, because licensing a portal is not that easy, because it works in it actually works based upon the users, how the user is logged into the portal. Okay, so there are basically two types of license, how the user is logged into the portal. So for the authenticated user, it actually calculate based on the per login basis, and for the anonymous user, it actually calculate based on the number of page view basis. But recently Microsoft introduced the volume in the the licensing part. So if an organization is using the portal in a huge amount of volume, then you can reduce your price as well. So licensing is also one of the key part of the portal planning. Okay, portal type: starter, customer, partner. So as you know, like we have different types of portals are there. So once you choose the portal, and once you decide it, and once you install the portal, you cannot roll it back. You have to delete each and everything. So just think twice before deciding the type of the portal. Are you going to use the starter portal, or you are going to use the customer portal, or the community portal, or the partner portal? That is very important thing, because once you install the portal, you cannot roll it back. Solution strategy, that is also important thing. When you are developing the Dynamics 365 component or the Power Platform component, it is also important that while developing the portal or configuring the portal, you should decide the solution strategy, because portal is an integral part of your dynamic CRM, and your dynamic CRM developers are also working on the components, and portal developers are also working on the same component. So there should be a proper communication. There should be a proper solution management as well. So sometimes what happens is we create the two different solutions, one to keep all the dynamics component and one to keep the portal component, because sometimes it happens that every time the portal and the CRM components not deployed every time on the target instance. Sometimes the CRM deployment happen, but not the portal, and vice versa, right? So solution strategy should be properly planned while doing the portal Power Apps portal requirement management. Development team, how many team members should be there? Okay, so because in your development team, you have to properly manage your development team as well, that who is going to be the functional consultant, who is going to be developer of the portal, and who is going to design the UI, because UI is also part of the portal. So development team also is part of the planning. Source control, where you going to store your code. So in today's demo, we are going to discuss about the Power App CLI, where I'm going to discuss about how you can store your portal code in your, in your Azure DevOps and the Git or the GitHub. Okay, so that is also important part. This is about the planning. Development, if I talk about the development, we have the three ways to do that. We have the Power Apps Portal Studio. That is the new way to do to configure or customize the portal. Second is the portal management app. That is the model driven app once you install or provision the portal. And the third one, which is the latest one, is the Power App CLI, that allows you to configure the code or design the portal through your Visual Studio. So whoever is the Visual Studio lover, or who is actually want to automate their deployment process, directly commit the code to the source repository and everything, they can simply use the Power App CLI. Now each one has their own advantage, but the Power Apps Portal Studio is one of the more mature way to develop the portal, but it's up to your comfort level, that how you want to develop the portal. So basically there are three ways to do that. In the Power Apps Portal Studio, you get the advantage, like recently the portal was in the headline due to the securities, that if you are not following the security best practices, there was no such sort of warnings or the error messages were being displayed. But now if you use the Power Apps Portal Studio, if is there any loopholes are there in the components, you get to see the error messages as well. So it actually reduces the human errors or the development errors. So for example, if you are not turning on the entity permission on a particular entity list or a particular component, it gives you the error message. So you can simply use the Power Apps Portal Studio if you want to see all these intelligence messages as well. Okay. The next part is the deployment. So deployment journey has been, is quite, is been, it seems working from the ADX Studio version was there. When the ADX Studio was there, the ADX Studio has developed the website copy tool. So that was the first, the tool that we knew about it, that we used to deploy the portal. Then we had the configuration migration tool, because ADX Studio, then ADX Studio portal, then acquired by the Microsoft. So obviously we used to have the configuration migration tool. So that tool was nowhere recommended by the Microsoft. There was no such tool available for the deployment. But the developer used to use the configuration migration tool, because they were so much friendly with the migration of the data of the dynamic CRM. So we were using the same tool for the portal deployment as well. So there was a lot of manual activities was there. We had to create the schema files. We had to export the data. Then we have to import the data. So there was a lot of manual step was there. Our community members has also developed a tool for deploy the portal, so that we used to call it as a portal code mover. So that was also a very good tool when there was no tool or no such the recommendation given by the Microsoft. So portal code mover was also available in the XRM toolbox. But later on, when Microsoft announced that you can officially use the configuration migration tool as well, they have provided some schema files based on the different portals. So that was quite mature at that time. But recently, Microsoft announced the Power App CLI. All right. So Power App CLI is kind of booster for the portal developer, because in the earlier way of deployment, like portal code mover, the website copy tool, the configuration migration, everything was manual process, and there was no such tool to take the backup on the local machine as well. You have to do the manual process using Power App CLI. The biggest advantage is that you can simply do the configuration and the deployment using Visual Studio or the Visual Studio Code, or also you can keep your backup of your configuration data on your local machine as well. I personally observe this thing, sometimes while working on the portal, some other developers has accidentally changed the code, or some file has been deleted, and due to on the cloud, some file has been deleted, some data has been removed. Then the next morning when you see the code, you get panicked, like, oh, where is my code actually? So these kind of problems we had earlier, but now using Power App CLI, you can automate every process. You can automate the process to take the backup of your data on your local machine as well. Portal monitoring, like, because portal is basically it's a public facing website, so obviously we need some sort of monitoring as well if we are facing any issues in terms of the performance or some other stuff, right? So if you want to track the portal, monitor the portal, there was no as specific tool or software suggested by the Microsoft, but since the portal is being hosted on the Azure, so we can use the Azure monitor and the application inside if we had some server side issues or maybe some performance related issues, some sort of tracking or the insight we can get it from the Azure monitor and the application inside. But we recently had a the Power Apps portal event few months back, where Dilip, who is the Microsoft principal manager, he told us like in the recent updates, we can expect the Power Apps portal monitoring the users analytics as part of the portal release, where we can see all the stuff related to the portal analytics, who is accessing the pages, who is clicking on a particular link. So these kind of metrics we are going to have. All right, so in this monitoring we can track like how many number of users are using the portals, what is the location of the users, and what are the device they are using. So these sort of the tracking or the monitoring we are going to have out of box in the portal. Okay, let's come to the CLI part. That why I was discussing about the what is Power App CLI. I was discussing about the Power App CLI. Now, what is Power App CLI actually? So Power App CLI is basically, it's a it is very simple single stop developer command line interface that actually empower your portal developers and especially the independent service vendors to perform the various operation in the Microsoft Power Platform. Okay, so if you can see here, so this is the Power Platform components. We have the Power Apps, Power Automate, Portals, Power BI, and the Power Virtual Agent. So if any ISB or if any or the portal developer or the Dynamics 365 developer wants to interact with the portal components, wants to perform any operation on the Power Platform, they can simply use the Power App CLI. It actually helps the independent service vendors as well if they want to create some sort of tools or some sort of extension, so they can also build that. So it provides the capabilities to the ISVs to create their own extension as well. So I have also created my own extension to deploy the portal, to automate the deployment of the portal. So I'm going to discuss about that soon. Okay. Portal development, how we can do the portal development using Power App CLI. Okay. So the portal development is basically made of two things. The first thing is customization and the second is the configuration. Okay, now what is customization? So customization, obviously the portal is a part of the Dynamics 365. So we have to do some sort of customization, like we have to create the tables, columns, forms, views, charts, dashboard, workflows. So these sort of components we have to create in the Dynamics 365. So that comes under the customization part. And whatever changes we are doing in the out of box entities or the component that Microsoft has provided, like the basic form, advanced form, table list, web pages, table permissions, and web roles, that is the part of configuration. All right. So customization we can do it in the Dynamics 365 component, and the configuration is basically on the out of box entities of the table. Okay. Now, so so customization, obviously we have to do it in the Dynamics 365 because you have to log in into the application and you have to create the tables, views, and everything. So it's not possible using the Visual Studio, obviously, but the configuration nowadays can be possible using Visual Studio Code. Okay, so that can only be possible using the Power App CLI. Now, how we can do that? So for that, so if you have to develop, if you have to configure the portal using Visual Studio Code, we have an extension available that provided by the Microsoft called Power Platform VS Code extension. Okay, so you can simply go to the Visual Studio Marketplace and you can simply download this, or sorry, not download. You can directly install in your Azure DevOps instance and can start using the build task. You can create your pipeline, and you can simply install it on the Azure Visual Studio Code and can get the intelligence to develop the to configure the system. So you have the you get the option to create the PCF controls. You get the option to write the tab scripts. So a lot of options are there. So the Power Platform VS Code extension is about that. The second is the portal deployment. So portal deployment, how we can do the portal deployment using Power App CLI. So again, there are two things. Portal deployment is also made up of two things. The first is customization deployment and second is the configuration deployment. So customization, obviously, whatever tables, forms, or views we have created, we have to deploy that to the target instance. And whatever configuration we have done, like we have created the entity list, the forms, or the web pages, roles, content snippet, we have to deploy that as well. So for the customization, we can also use the Azure DevOps. So Microsoft provided the Power Apps platform, Power Platform build tools. You can simply use the build task and create your own pipeline to automate the deployment, your customization. And for the configuration also, we have the Power Apps CLI. I'm going to discuss about the extension that I have built. So you can use that tool as well to automate your, the portal deployment. So the whole customization and configuration both can be, automate using Azure DevOps, using Power Apps CLI. So this is the tool that I have developed that we call it as a Power Apps Portal Build Tools. OK, so recently the 289 installation has already been done. So if you get to explore this particular tool, you can simply go to the Visual Studio Marketplace and simply find like Power Apps Portal Build Tools. This tool allow you to automate your portal deployment from dev instance to your SIT, UAT, and the prod instance. OK, the beauty of this tool is that it also supports the deployment profile. The deployment profile is basically a new update given by the Microsoft. By using that, you can deploy the different configuration to the target instance, because sometimes it is you require like when you're deploying your configuration from dev to SIT, then you have to deploy some different configuration, and when you have to deploy from dev to UAT, then you have to deploy some other configuration. So sometimes the configuration that you are deploying to the target instance differ, right? Especially the site settings values. So it depends actually. So it also supports the deployment profile. So in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I'm going to discuss about that, how we can use that tool. Power Platform build tools that I talked about. If you have to deploy your Dynamic 365 components, you can simply use this tool. OK, so if you have the components like Power Automate, Canvas app, custom connector, so whatever two components you have designed in your Dynamic 365, you can simply use that tool, and you can simply utilize both the tool to create your pipeline, the Power Platform build tool and the portal build tools, to automate your Dynamic 365 customization and your portal configuration both. All right, so the next part is the demo. What I'm going to demo it today. So a very small demo I have actually prepared for you. So what I'm going to do is I have three instances available. First is dev, second is SIT, and the third one is the UAT instance. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my the portal extension. OK, and that Azure DevOps portal extension is going to do is it actually automate your deployment to SIT and the UAT. OK, now how to use this tool, how to download that tool. First, I'll discuss about that. OK, so let me quickly share my screen. Share that link with you. So if you can see here, this is the tool. You can simply go to the marketplace and you just simply find this Power App Portal build tools. It's freely available for you. You can just simply click on get it free, log in your Azure DevOps instance, and you can simply install it as well. If you want to install directly inside the Azure DevOps, you can simply if you go to create a pipeline, and if you click a new pipeline, let me show you quickly that how you can find this tool. So let me use the classic editor, DevOps, let it be, click on empty job. If I go here, you just need to simply search this. Right, so if you can see here, you can simply find this tool. So since it's already installed, it's showing installed. So once you install this tool, or if you don't want to install it from here, you can simply go to this shop icon and simply go to the browse marketplace. OK, and you can install it from here as well. You can simply find my tool here. Portal. Right, so this is the tool. So if you can simply install it from here. So this is the way you can simply get this tool free in your Azure DevOps instance. All right. Perfect. So it's not possible to, set up everything in the pipeline from the scratch due to lack of time. But I have already done some sort of groundwork for you just to demonstrate how this tool works actually. So I've already created a project over here called Power Guide. And in this Power Guide project, I have created a repository where I'm going to store the portal configuration and the customization. So if you can see here in the Power Guide, I have created a two folder, Dynamic 365 components and the portal components. So in the Dynamic 365 component, basically, I have actually created to put all the components I have created in the Dynamic 365, for example, forms, fields, or maybe your Power Automate custom connector. So everything related to the Dynamic 365 will be coming here. And portal components is basically going to store all the portal related configuration only. OK, so it's up to you that how you want to create your folder structure. It's up to you, but just for the demonstration purpose I have created like this. And under the portal components also I have created two folder, portal configuration and portal deployment. Okay, in the portal configuration I'm going to store the complete code of the portal, the complete configuration of the portal. Okay, whatever development I'm doing in my development instance, I'm going to take the complete export and I'm going to store it in the portal configuration folder. The second folder is the portal deployment, and in the portal deployment, I'm going to only store the configuration that I'm going to deploy to the target instance. Now, why I have created these two folder? Because I want to keep both the things. The first thing, I want to keep the complete export just for the backup purpose. Okay, and this is only for the deployment purpose. Okay, now there might be a situation that some of the component you want to skip in order to deploy it to the target instance. Now, what those components are, especially the site settings. Okay, site settings always differ organization by organization, but you may have some other components as well that you want to keep it different across different organization. So if I talk about the Azure AD B2C configuration, right? If you have enabled the Azure AD B2C authentication in your portal, obviously it's dev, UAT, SIT, prod, whatever environment you are using, all the environments will have the different configurations, different site settings, right? So you may not want to export that site setting and import it back to your target instance. So for that purpose, I have created two folder. Configuration will export the complete configuration, and portal deployment will only keep those configuration that you want to deploy it to the target instance. Now inside the portal configuration, again I have created three folders: customer portal, partner portal, and the starter portal. Okay, so if you have the multiple portal installed in your target in your development instance, so you can simply create a folder structure like that. And under the starter portal, I'm going to store all the portal configuration. Simple. In the portal deployment as well, I'm going to store my whole configuration inside the starter portal. All right, let's have a look that how the pipelines looks like. Okay, so once you have installed my extension, you just need to create a new pipeline, but I have already created a new pipeline, so I'm just going to edit that. All right, so what are the steps are involved in this particular pipeline to automate your portal deployment? So the first step is portal tool installer. This portal tool installer is nothing but all the prerequisites, all sort of npm and other whatever prerequisites are there to install on the machine. So it actually install it for you. So portal tool installer is basically nothing but all the prerequisites, tools or softwares are needed in order to run the Power App CLI. So it actually install on the Azure virtual machines. Export portal configuration. So in this step, you don't need to do anything. You just need to simply add it. And OK, so let me add one more thing. Like once you install the portal, you just simply click here and you can simply find this task over here. So if I type portal, so these three tasks you have to use. The first to install all the npm related things, right? In order to run the Power App CLI command. Export portal configuration is basically used to take the export of your data from your source. And import portal configuration is basically used to import your portal configuration to your target instance. All right, only 3 steps are there. So if you want to have the step-by-step guide, I have also provided on my extension level as well, but it's quite old actually. I think I have updated quite a while ago. But if you want to simply check it out on my website, so I have provided a very step-by-step guide on that. So let me quickly open that as well. Okay. So I would like you to follow this particular step. So all the steps I have given here, that how the folder structure will work, and how to install this particular extension, how to use the export or portal configuration step, how to use the import portal configuration steps, everything I have is provided, how to use the application ID, client secret, and everything. Okay, so I'm using multi-factor authentication. So I'm using OAuth authentication, how to use the PowerShell command. So I'm going to use some PowerShell command as well here. I'm going to show that as well. So everything, all the information, you will get it on this URL. So I'm going to share this URL with you at the end of this session, so you can simply follow that as well. All right, so portal tool install is done. Export portal configuration. So obviously we have to provide that information from where you want to export that configuration. So this is my source instance, powerthon.crm11.dynamics.com, and these are the basic details you have to provide. These are some prerequisites, like you have to provide the website ID. So website ID is nothing but the portal website that you want to export. Each portal, when you install the portal, you get the website in your Dynamics 365 instance or in the Microsoft Dataverse, and each website has their unique ID. Okay, application ID, client secret, and tenant ID. You may be aware about that, because I'm going to use the OAuth authentication, because that supports the multi-factor authentication. So it doesn't support the simple basic authentication where you have to provide the username or password, because nowadays most of the organization are using MFA. So it is the one of the best way to authenticate or to connect with our organization. So it actually support the OAuth. So these are the information you have to provide, like how we can get this application ID, secret key, and tenant ID. So you can get a lot of articles, or even on my on my blog as well, how to register a particular app in the Azure Active Directory, and you will get the application ID, secret key, and everything. All right. Now, the interesting part is that save export data all and save export data selected. OK, so I had created the 2 folder I shared you earlier. One, I'm going to store the complete configuration, and one I'm going to store only that configuration that I'm going to deploy. All right. So here, if you can see here, I have given the path where I'm going to store the whole configuration of the portal. And here I have given the path where I'm going to store only that particular content that I'm going to deploy to the target instance. Now I don't want to deploy the site setting. OK, so what I've done is exclude data. So in the exclude data, you just need to simply provide the name of all the components in the comma separated form. So you can get the information here as well, like mention table or the file name in the comma separated format that you don't want to include in your portal deployment. OK, so if you have the multiple files like the web pages, web templates, and the site setting, you just need to provide this information in this particular block. OK, so I don't want to deploy the site setting, so I've just simply provided the site setting YAML. OK, if you don't want to deploy some other component like the web template, you just need to put the comma and just put the name of that particular file. OK, how you get to know the name of the file? You can simply, if I duplicate this, the name of the folder, you can simply find it from the here. OK, so here I've already exported the portal, so you can simply get the name of the file. Like if I don't want to include the site setting, so if I open this portal configuration, so if you can see here, these are the name of the components. So if you don't want to include content snippet, you just need to copy this content snippet and just paste it over that block. OK, if you don't want to include the site setting, just copy this name with the extension and just paste it there. OK, so this is the way how you can exclude your particular component from here. All right. OK, output variables. So this is basically what I'm going to do is whatever the file that I'm going to exclude it from the deployment, I just wanted to pass it to the next step. So I'm just using this reference so that I can get this exclude data value using this variable name. Okay, so when I put the portal.exclude tables, I can get the value of this site settings.yaml in my next screen. Now commit code. In the commit code, I'm actually using the PowerShell script and the exclude tables from the portal. So these are the basic two steps you need to add. You need to add the PowerShell script step. So in the commit code, you just need to write this code. You need to provide your username. Okay, so my username is this, so I'm using this, and the name of the user, and then some of the commands I'm using. So for example, like my folder structure is like that my main folder is the portal components. So first I'm adding that I'm just adding that particular folder. Then inside that I have this structure, like inside the portal components have the portal configuration, then I have the start portal. That means I want to commit my configuration, the whole configuration path in this particular path, and I want to deploy my deployment. I want to deploy the the excluded path in this particular path. Okay, so I'm just providing both the information over here. The detailed information about how to use this particular command and how to use this particular path, because this path may be different in your case, right? So how to particular use this path and what is the significance of each the step, I will share this article with you. I have simply shared that how the folder structure should look like, and everything I have provided the information in this article. Okay. All right. Next step, exclude tables from the export. So what I'm going to do is I'm again using the git command, and whatever the component I don't want to include in my deployment, I'm just simply deleting that from the folder. Okay, so for that particular thing, I have just simply included this the expression in the PowerShell command. This actually what it does is it actually take the name of that particular. It actually takes the name of all the components that I have given in the exclude file column, and it actually deletes all from the portal deployment folder. Okay, so that it doesn't include in your deployment. The last one is the publish artifacts. So it actually used to publish your artifacts. So I've actually taken the path of the portal deployment, because whatever components I'm deploying, I'm going to store it in the portal deployment. So I've given the path of portal deployment path. Okay. All right. So one more thing is about the variables, because I have just kept it confidential here, like what is the website ID, application ID, secret key, and all. So I've just simply used the variables over here and just simply provided this information. OK, you can use the variables and you can use the variable groups as well. It's up to you that how you're managing the things. So this is just for the demonstration purpose. So how I've used that part. OK, so two build tasks are done. Now let me see the release pipeline. OK, so in the portal release pipeline, it's a very simple step. What I'm going to do is I'm simply using the portal tool installer, because for the SIT I'm going to, and for the SIT or the UAT, as I told you in my slide deck, I'm going to deploy it to the SIT and the UAT both environment. So if I have to deploy it to the SIT UAT, again I have to use the Power CLI command. So in the Power CLI used, I have to again use the portals tool installer. Okay, so again I'm using this portal tool installer and then using the import command. Now, as you know, like portals, the Power CLI now started supporting the deployment profiles, right? So deployment profile is nothing but it actually enables you to deploy the different configuration to the different target environment, right? So what I'm going to do is on SIT, I'm going to deploy different configuration, and then UAT, I'm going to deploy the different configuration. OK, so what are the things we have to configure here in order to configure the import portal configuration? Again, you have to provide the name of your target instance, your application ID, your client secret, your tenant ID in order to connect with the organization. And here you have provided the path where you actually published your folder. OK, so if I check here. OK, so I'm just giving this path where I've actually published my artifacts. Simply in the UAT as well, I have just given this different URL, app ID, client secrets, and the tenant ID. All right, perfect. Okay, just let me check it quickly. All right, so these are the basic steps to configure that. Now, if I talk about my environments, if you can see here, I have three environments. One is dev environment, okay, where I'm developing my portal, all the configuration and customization I'm doing here. This is my SIT environment. Okay, so here the same starter portal I have installed. And the last one is the UAT portal. Okay, if you can see here, this is my UAT instance. Now in the dev instance, so obviously if you have to deploy a portal to the target instance, the target environment should have the same portal installed. Okay, so for example, in my dev instance, I already have the starter portal. Okay, so if you can see here in the dev instance, I already have the the starter portal installed. So in the SIT portal, in the UAT portal, and maybe in the production, you should have the same portal installed, the starter portal. Then only your portal configuration will be migrated without any error. Now, the interesting part is that once you deploy your portal configuration to the target instance, there are some manual steps are also needed. Okay, so that I'm going to discuss about it later, but let me run this pipeline first. Okay, so this is the dev, this is SIT and UIT. So what I'm going to do is I have done all the configuration of dev in my, the CI pipeline. Okay, so I've given all the application IDs and everything of the dev instance here. And one more thing I would like to share is about the deployment profile. Okay, so if you can see here, I've already exported my portal configuration. I'm going to export it again. But if I expand this portal deployment folder, starter portal, I have created a deployment profile manually over here. So you have to create this deployment profile folder manually as of now. So it's just a one-time activity. Once your portal configuration is exported successfully in your repository, you just need to go to your deployment folder where your deployment content is going to be deployed, and then you have to create this deployment profile. Now inside this deployment profile, you have to create multiple files. It depends on how many target environment you want to deploy the portal. So I am going to deploy it into the SIT and in the UAT. Okay. So in the SIT, I have just only changed the browser suffix content snippet to Power Apps Power Guide SIT, and in the UAT, I have just changed it to Power Guide UAT. So this is the basic change I've just done. You can simply add some other components or other the component details over here that you want to keep it changed from your dev instance. Okay. Now this same name of the profile I have used in my release pipeline. So if you can see my release pipeline, I've used the same configuration. So if I open this, if you can see here an option called deployment profile name. Okay, so this is a very important thing, like which particular deployment profile you want to import it. Okay, so I've just given the SIT, and in this UAT, I have just given the UAT. Okay, that means the whole configuration will get imported from your exactly same like the development instance, except this particular deployment profile. All right. Okay, let me quickly run this pipeline now. So this is the portal CA pipeline, and let me run this. All right. Let me open this. And let's watch how it actually taking all the configuration from the portal dev instance and import it to the development, so the target instance. Okay, so it's preparing now. First of all, so it's initializing the job. Then so these are the steps that I have included over here. So portal tool installer. So this is basically install all the prerequisite tools and the software on the virtual machines. Okay, in the Azure DevOps machine. So that is actually required. So no matter whether you are using the Visual Studio Code or the PowerShell command, you have to install this all the npm install and everything on your local machine as well in order to run the Power App CLI. So that is the prerequisites actually. So once the installation is done, you have to export the portal configuration. So first it successfully authenticated because I have provided all the OAuth related details. So my connection is done. Now it got the website ID as well. So you can see here, this is the name of my website, Arpit Power Guide. And these all the stuff got started exported from my dev instance. All right. Okay, so it started it started taking export again because I'm storing that export in the two folders now, in the configuration folder and in the deployment folders. Okay, so my portal export is going to store in two different folders. Perfect. So this is done. Now I'm committing my code so that my code get stored in the Git repository. Now it's excluding the site setting because I told you I don't want to deploy the site setting to my target instance. So what it does is it actually, delete that particular folder from the dev instance. So that was a specific request. I got it from the community that, right now there is no way that we can do the increment deployment in the portal. Whether we have this Power App CLI still available, but still we cannot do that, right? So this using this tool, you can simply exclude your data as part of deployment. So if I go to the repository, if you can see here in the portal configuration, I got all the configuration over here. Portal config, basic forms, content snippet, table permissions, web templates, everything is there. Even the site settings is also there. Okay, just for the backup purpose in this portal configuration, everything got exported, whether it has been customized or not. Okay, but in the portal deployment, if you can see in the starter portal, everything is there except the site setting, right? Because I don't want to deploy the site setting. So that is the beauty of this particular extension. You can ignore, or if you want to exclude some other data as well, you can do that as well. All right. Perfect. Let me go to the release pipeline, how it is working. If I go to the release one, let me open it. Now in the release pipeline also, I made some small configuration that how it automatically got triggered. So if I go to the release pipeline, if you can see here, I'm actually automatically deploying that because there is a trigger that automatically, initiate my CD pipeline. As soon as the artifacts is available, it automatically starting deployment to the target instance. Okay, perfect. Let me go back to this. Okay, so the import configuration into the SIT instance is being done. Okay, then it will start importing to the UAD instance. Right. So I'm just opening that content snippet that I've changed through the deployment. Okay, let me go back to the portal. All right. So now you can see here the import into SIT instance has been successfully done. Now it's being imported into the UAD instance. Now the interesting part is that I just wanted to highlight in the earlier version of the portal, you get to see the same website ID, right? So for example, if I have the three instance dev, SIT and the UAT, and all the three instance has the same portal available, like the starter portal, all the portal has the same website ID. Right, so we did not had any issues because when we use the configuration migration tool or the portal code mover, the XRM utility or whatever tool we were using, we had no issues because it your configuration from your source to destination got automatically mapped using that website ID. But now Microsoft recently made a changes or introduced a new feature that you can have the multiple portals in your same dynamic 365 instance. That means you cannot have the same website ID installed. Okay, so now you can see here in the portal dev instance, my website ID. So if I open the website, my website ID is FC63C4D, right? It start with this particular ID. Now if I go my UAT portal, if I open my website here, so this is my website. And if I open this website, you can see here, the website ID is completely different. Although the portal is the same, the starter portal, but the website ID is different. So obviously, when I deploy my configuration from source to destination, my configuration is not going to, map automatically, right? Like unlike in the previous version of the portal. Okay, now how we can do that? So first, let me check whether our deployment is complete. Okay, so our deployment is completed. Now, if I go to the dev instance, now first let me check the SID. So let me simply sync the configuration. Sorry. All right. Okay. Okay, let me open this one. Content snippet. All right, so if you can see here in the UAT instance, the content snippet browser title suffix changed to UAT. And if I go to the website, I got the two portal here. OK, one which I have installed it manually because I had to install it manually. Otherwise, I could not do the deployment. Right. But after the migration and after the deployment using using the Power App CLI, I again got a new portal available. OK, now if I hit the portal, this is the UAT portal and I refresh it. My portal is still not same as the dev instance. So this is my dev portal and this is my UAT portal. After the configuration has been migrated, the portal is still not the same. Why? Because my configurations are different. My portals are I have the two portals in my UAT instance. Now, how can I link with this, link this website with my portal? So you have to do this particular step manually. You have to go to your admin center. So how you can do this? You have to simply, OK, let me go to the admin page. OK, so you have to go here and here's my portal. Click here, go to the settings and go to the administration. So the objective is you have to change the bindings. So once you migrated your portal to the target instance in the admin center, you get to see this error message. The portal has the multiple bindings which will cause the issue for the portal. So delete the extra website binding record for this portal. So for example, like you already installed this portal. Now this is no longer needed because you have migrated this portal configuration. So this is the actual one that you are going to use maybe in the UAT or in the production, right? So what you have to do is you just need to go down and here in the update portal bindings, you just need to choose this particular portal and hit on update. OK, so once I click on update, I get to see the same portal that I have in the dev instance. So this update website binding is one of the manual steps. You have to do it only one time. From the next subsequent deployment, you don't have to do this because your Arpit Power Guide website has the same website ID as the dev instance. OK, so if you can see here, this is the website got migrated from the dev instance. So obviously it will have the same website ID, but this portal has got installed manually. It has the different website ID. That's why your configuration has not got mapped automatically. So I've updated the website binding. It actually takes a few seconds of time to get it reflected. Let me go back again. All right. If I refresh this again. UAT, edit it back. OK, now if I browse my website, earlier the portal was looking like this. The portal Power Guide UAT portal was looking like this. And then now you can see the UI here as well. My portal is looking like this. So it's same like the, the dev instance portal. Let me refresh this. Okay, now you can see here the Power Guide UAT portal has been changed completely, and its browser suffix has also been changed UAT, and the whole configuration has been same like your dev instance. So this is my dev instance. The browser suffix is dev, and here is my UAT instance. The browser suffix is UAT. So this is the one manual activity you have to do after your first deployment. So this thing I have also mentioned in my article as well. Because this is also I'm expecting that this step is going to be available in the Microsoft Docs as well somewhere, but I have also included this particular step, and I have also mentioned like it's a only one-time activity. All right, from the next subsequent deployment you will get to see once you automate your deployment, your configuration will automatically be migrated. You don't need to perform the same steps. So that's it for today. And thanks for being with me. And do you have any questions for me? Just please ask me. Thanks a lot. Let me check what question is there. Is there anyone ask a question? What is the use case to go for Power Apps portal? Is the answer for that? What means coming soon for Power Apps Monitor? So Krishna is asking like what means coming soon for Power Apps Portal Monitor? So we had a Power Apps Portal event a few months back, and we got a chance to have a session of Dilip. And Dilip mentioned like in the upcoming release of the portal, we are going to have a new feature called portal monitoring analytics. In that analytics, we are going to have some exciting features like we can track like who is using the portal at what from where from what particular location, what particular device. So like the way we can track it in the Google as well. So same way in other website we can track the some monitoring and tracking as well in the portal as well. Okay, so the device locations or number of clicks, what pages are being used or on which control the user is clicking. So these sort of information we will get it. And obviously the report is going to be in the Power BI format. So we get a lot of interesting stuff in this monitoring part. Okay, like, can you please share the link in the chat? Okay. It's not official yet. I'll try to find that link if I can find it for you, monitoring service. But I have already shared that screenshot with you that what feature is going to be added. So maybe in the upcoming release, we can see that particular feature. Catalin is asking like, say you deploy configuration changes to the entity permission template. If the business decide to roll back and using an environment backup is not an option, how can we bring back the previously records, settings, web templates, etc. the business? So let me read it again. Say you deploy configuration changes to entity permission templates. The roll back in backup is not an option. How moving back the previous reports. See, so right now there is no option as such, any out of box option that you can roll back your existing configuration. But yeah, using the versioning control, you can keep track of whatever changes you are doing on the daily basis. And the only option I will say like you can keep taking the backup of your configuration. So for example, if I'm working on the portal today. So once I'm done with my work, I can simply schedule the CI/CD pipeline, not the CD, but CI pipeline or schedule job that can take the export of my complete configuration either on my local machine or on the cloud. And if any unforeseen issues occurs or if your client want to roll back the changes, you still have the data export available with you, right? So you can simply do it like that way. But there is no any out of box way to do that, that how you can roll it back to your previous configuration. Only version control, backup is the only option. All right, so thank you everyone. If you still have any queries related to this tool while using this tool, please get in touch with me offline, and I'm going to share my contact details, the link of my website where I step by step presented this tool, and obviously the URL of the extension. So if you have any issues, if any questions related to that tool, just please let me know. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Over to
Thank
you,
you
David.
very much. Oh, thank you very